Hi, kindergartners. I have a book for you today that kind of goes along with what we were doing in kindergarten before we had to leave school. We were learning to read, and this book is called How Rocket Learned to Read. And this is Rocket right here. He's a dog. This book has an author and an illustrator that are the same person, and his name is Tad Hills. So he did the words, but he also did the pictures. Okay? Your job is to watch Rocket, and then at the end you're going to write about something that he does or something that he has. Okay? How Rocket learned to read. Rocket loved to play. He loved to chase the leaves and chew sticks. He loved to listen to the birds sing. Remember, you're watching Rocket, so you can write about him at the end. Every fall morning, after chasing leaves, Rocket would lie down in his favorite spot under his favorite tree. There he'd sniff the neighborhood smells and settle in for a good nap. But one day, a little yellow bird startled Rocket. "Aha, my first student! Wonderful," she sang. Rocket was confused. "Student? I'm not but if I'm your teacher," the bird interrupted, "then you must be my student." Rocket found it hard to argue with this bird. "I'm so glad you saw my sign," the bird chirped. And right here there's a sign that says, "Class starts today." "Oh, yes, I can see it," Rocket said, "but I don't know how to read." "Can't read? Fantastic!" She waved a wing. "Welcome to my classroom." "But I just came here to nap," Rocket said. No, there will be no napping in class," declared the bird, "except, of course, during nap time." "Well, then, I can take my nap over here," said Rocket. "I had a very busy morning." "Not to worry, I'll be around every day," chirped the bird, "until the weather turns." But he doesn't want to go to school, so he's going to go take a nap somewhere else. As Rocket breathed in the crisp air, the little yellow bird hung her banner. "Ah, the wonderful, mighty, gorgeous alphabet," she wondered, "where it all begins." So she's hung up the whole alphabet in the trees. And if you look carefully, you can see Rocket's tail sticking out from this bush over here. Opening up a book, the bird began to read. She sang out the story of an unlucky dog named Buster who'd lost his favorite bone. A cool breeze carried her lively voice across the yard. At first, Rocket was disturbed. Remember, he's trying to take a nap. But before long, he found himself captivated. To Rocket, the story was as delicious as the earthy smells of fall. It was as exciting as chasing leaves. He closed his eyes and listened to every word. As Buster dug and dug under the lilac bush, the bird read, he felt something familiar. Rocket waited. Was it the bone, he wondered? Silence. Was it the bone? He called to the bird. More silence. Was it the bone? Rocket hollered. Suddenly he was rushing to the tree. "Well, was it?" But the little yellow bird was gone. Didn't get the answer to his question. He was listening to that story, but he didn't get to hear the end. The next morning, Rocket arrived early, and there's the book they were reading. At last the little yellow bird appeared. "Hello, how wonderful to see you in class," she chirped. "I can tell by your waggy tail that you are well rested." "I'd like to hear the end of the story, please," said Rocket. "That seems like a fine way to start the day," chirped the bird. She gave Rocket a name tag and began to read. So there's Rocket's name tag. Every day, Rocket returned to the little yellow bird's classroom. In the morning, the bird taught him a new letter until he had learned all of the wonderful, mighty, gorgeous alphabet. So here they are learning B. And then down here, it looks like they're doing V and then W. Together, they sang out the sounds that each letter makes and spelled the words they heard around them. With a G and many ers, they spelled Mr. Barker's growl. Grrr. They spelled the sound of the wind, which was growing colder by the day. Whoosh. Soon they were spelling words like fall, for the gusty time of year, and red, for the color of the leaves. And each afternoon the bird read a story. She read stories about dogs and birds, She read about leaves changing colors and all about birds flying south for the winter. So it's starting to be the end of fall. The leaves are falling off the tree. Then one day the weather turned and the letter banner disappeared. See you again in the glorious spring, the bird sang. And as she flew into the wintry sky, she called, don't forget, words are built one letter at a time. Let's see if Rocket's able to remember while she's gone. The days grew shorter and the leaves fell from the trees. The grass became crunchy. Soon Rocket's classroom disappeared under the snow. He remembered the little yellow bird's alphabet and practiced his letters. So he's writing the alphabet in the snow. Rocket thought about the bird's sweet chirp while he sounded out words like d, ig, w, I, n, d, and k, o, l, d, dig, wind, cold. He made new friends and spelled their names. Hello, E-M-M-A, Emma. Hi there, F-R-E-D, Fred. He spelled everything. S-A-N, E-L-T. Sun, melt. The icicles are melting. When Rocket spelled d, he knew that spring, as it always does, had returned. The breeze blew warmer, the grass grew greener, and a sign appeared. Class starts tomorrow. Early the next morning, Rocket rushed to his classroom. As he waited, he spelled w-ag, wag. Soon the little yellow bird arrived. Aha, my star student, she sang. How wonderful to see you. I can tell by your waggy tail that you are ready for class. Then together they began to read. They read stories about birds flying north in the spring. They read about picnics in the warm sun, and they read about Buster, the lucky dog who found his bone under the lilac bush. And when they were done, they read it again and again, and A-G-A-I-N, again. Okay. All right, for writing today, I just want you to tell me something about Rocket. So it can be something that he has, like a body part. It could be something that he does. So just start with the word rocket and then leave an empty space. Okay, so here's what I drew. Here's Rocket. I started with the word rocket and then I wrote the word can and spell. Rocket can spell. And for can, I use my sounds. K, a, n, can. And for spell, I use my sounds too. S, p, a, l. And remember, right before we left school, we were learning that you can put two of the same letter together and they make the same sound. So rocket can spell. And then I drew a couple things from the story and I spelled them. So here's a bone and I wrote b-o-n. Here's the bird and I wrote b-er-d. And then here's the tree where they had their class and I wrote t-er-e. Okay, so I want you to start with the word rocket and then you can tell me something he learned or something he did or something he has, and then draw a picture. And then next time we're on video, you can show it to me. Thanks for coming today.